is Fred Smith, and I'm going to talk about my experience of growing in a house where domestic violence and child abuse was almost a daily occurrence. Okay, from the age of 2 to 12, I was beat almost daily. And when I say beat, I don't just mean spankings or smacks on the wrist. I mean welts, belts, spanking with welts, getting taken out of the bathtub, spanking, woken up out of your sleep, spanking, getting kicked in the stomach till your wind gets knocked out, getting kicked and having a bloody nose, stuff like that. I've been in Calgary for about 7 years now. I'm from a place called Santa Maria, California. Growing up, it was a city of about 60,000, so a pretty small town. Not everybody knows everybody type of city, but a pretty nice community. So when it started off, it was just me, my sister, and my mom. And then my mom met my stepdad when I was 2. And as soon as they got together, it was a volatile relationship. So at the age of 2, you have you see them fighting back and forth, arguing, and then you see stuff in the house starting to break. And then my mom would kick him out, and then he would come back and try to coax my sister, and I'm my older sister. She's 5 years older than me. Coax us to open the door, and our mom is telling us not to open the door. He's telling us to open the door, so it puts us in a weird position. And then, so by the time I'm 10 years old, I have 7 siblings that live in that same house with us and the parents, my mom, my stepdad. And on my dad's side of the family, I have another 3 siblings, so I have 10 siblings in total. But yeah, just growing up in a house like that, things are different. Back in the 90s, there was a lot of kids that would be beat or abused. Back then, I knew it happened in homes, but I knew it wasn't supposed to be accepted. Just by watching TV and stuff, you see families, you see the perfect families, the Family Ties, the Fresh Prince, the Family Matters, and there's no domestic violence or child abuse really going on in those homes. So, but the kids that I hung around with at school, it was happening in a lot of their homes. Yeah, so it was nothing I really talked about openly, but I would never denied it when it was, if asked about it. One time at school, I got called in the office about an incident that happened the night before. It wasn't a domestic dispute. It was more of the child abuse stuff about what kind of spankings we were getting. And I got a spanking the night before, but that night I actually got the most lenient spanking I ever got. So when the school counselor was asking me about it, I just told the truth. I got a spanking. It was one swat. Yeah, and that was the end of it. And the counselor was trying to coax me to say more about it, to elaborate, but there was nothing to it. It's like the hundreds of incidents beforehand I could have elaborated on, but this particular time there was nothing to tell. And yeah, I guess my older sister called the Child Protective Services, and that was our way to get out. But I already knew once you tell, it was a lose-lose situation. So it was either tell on your parents or go to a foster care where you're going to be with people that don't care about you, or tell on your parents and nothing happens and you go back home and get it worse. So in that situation, keeping my mouth closed was I felt was the best choice. Yeah, so back in school, yeah, my grades suffered from all that. So it was once you get home, it's chaos. So you'd rather not be home. You'd rather be in sports. You'd rather be at your friend's house. You'd rather be spending the night on the weekends instead of being at home. So it's you can't focus on school, and school's not a priority. Education wasn't really put into the forefront. So we wouldn't get help with our homework. We wouldn't get encouraged on our progress, or discouraged if we brought back bad grades. So there was no incentive. You just go to school, be a class clown, get your grades, and that was it. But after my stepdad went to jail, I think for beating up an old lady, he got 4 years when I was 12. That's when I was free. So actually the family broke up at that point. So I got sent to live with my aunt. And then after that, yeah, my grades picked up. I was always a smart kid. I just never did the work. So I had time to do my homework, study, get ahead. So that was actually a catalyst in my life that would propel me further. Things I remember about being a child back then and having domestic violence in the house, just feeling powerless. It's you want to fight back, but if you fight back, it's going to be worse on you. So yeah, just hearing my mom crying, it's like not knowing what to do, being in that awkward position of being 4 or 5 years old and like not knowing how to console your own mother when you're the one that's supposed to be getting consoled by your mother. And yeah, just I remember the first night I stayed up all night was my mom got beat, and like I think she broke her rib, and then the ambulance had to come and get her, took her to the hospital and brought her back. And then the thing my stepdad said to her was, that was my foot that did that. Imagine if it was my hand. So growing up like that, the value you put on things and the value you put on life is very low. So it's like, if you have something nice like a PlayStation, you don't really take care of it. You don't really prioritize cleaning, prioritize pretty much anything, because you know nothing really has a consequence. If you do good at school, you're going to get beat. If you do bad at school, you're going to get beat. It doesn't matter. Something as little as leaving the door open could get you beat. Something as severe as stealing something could get you beat. So there was no really consequence. So by the time I was in 5th grade, I was getting beat like every day, and I was tired of it. So that's like first time I've ever thought about death. Like, what if I took my own life? Not to attempt it, but just the thought of it ran through my head. I was in 5th grade. But I was also raised in the church. So my faith, even at that early age, got me through. It's something that an elementary school kid should not have to go through, nor contemplate, nor counsel themselves out of. It should be adults that guide you through this. I guided myself out of that mindset, depression, and just negative thinking back then. How does it affect my relationships with family and romantically? With my family, I'm not that close to my mom because she put us in harm's way. She could have made the decision anytime to leave or to have him go. But for us being in that house, it was a dangerous situation. It was life or death. He was a felon. He was in and out of jail, and just having us around that, like, that's not a good situation to have any kid in. Obviously, felons are people too, but it's like, as an adult, you're supposed to discern whether you're putting your kids in danger or not. My brothers and sisters, I love them, but the house we grew up in didn't really promote the brotherly, sisterly type of love. It promoted competition and individuality. So as I got older, I had to learn how to be a loving big brother, to my younger siblings, because back then it was basically get your own, get yours because it's going to be gone, get yours because someone else is going to take it. You don't have anything of your own because it has to be shared. How it affects my relationships romantically, it's a very conscious thing. When something happens that may make you have a negative emotion, whether that's anger, jealousy, envy, just to process it healthy. Because I've seen how things went when somebody was angry off of something. Like, it's just something could happen and spark a dispute in the house very quickly. So I've always been a very calm person since I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was very volatile. I would be in fights every other day. But as I got older, I learned that all that anger stemmed from what was happening at home. Coming full circle, being a stepfather myself, I kept those things in mind. So I made sure to treat my stepson as if he was my own son. No putting separation, because that was one thing I felt when I was growing up. I always felt like an outsider because you were part of the family and not part of the family at the same time. So I made sure to try to be as loving and encouraging as possible, yet also being strict and stern enough to raise a kid that's just not getting their own way, not me overcompensating for what happened to me, but giving the life lessons that a kid needs to be a morally stable adult. Other ways it affected me, I feel that it affected my sense of danger. So when I think a normal person hears somebody's voice raised, they may get the little spidey sense like, oh, something's about to happen, I should get defensive. But when I hear that, it's almost like a funny thing to me, because I feel that nothing could happen to me as an adult worse than what happened to me as a kid. So it's almost like you think yelling at me is going to get a response out of me, or you think that even hitting me is going to get a response out of me. Like, it may get a response out of me, but it's not going to hurt me physically. It's like I'm not afraid to take a punch, which may be a bad thing, but it's like my sense of danger isn't the same as a normal person, I think. It has to be like red line, red alert before my brain is like, okay, I have to do something, which is a good and a bad thing. So I was in the Marine Corps for 8 years. So when I was getting yelled at by boot camp drill instructors, it was actually funny to me because there was nothing that could have happened to me worse than what already happened. So it's like I knew they couldn't put their hands on me. So it's like when I was 4 and 5 getting yelled at with spit flying on my face, that'd be followed with a smack, a punch, a hit, something. But in the Marines, they're just yelling. So it's like I'm an adult and you're just yelling at me. So it was basically like, I don't know, it's almost like things don't faze me. So in conclusion, as an adult, I don't feel that I'm a victim. I feel that I've been through something, and I feel that I have grown through something. Would I have chosen to have it that way? No. But since it has happened, I have adapted, and I have the tools that I need to help somebody else do that. That is one thing that I feel that certain things happen to me for a certain reason, not because I need to learn that lesson, but I may need to guide somebody else through that lesson who may not be as strong as I am. I am Fred Smith, and that was my Man Talk Monday, brought to you by the Men's League.